Joining us now is Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli. He was one of the attorneys general who were able to question all the candidates who are in the race last night on this Huckabee special, a presidential forum. Yep. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
This was very interesting. It's something we hadn't seen before because there was no interaction between the candidates.
Right.
There was no fighting, no gotcha moments.
That's right.
Who impressed you and why?
Well, first of all, I thought the level of discussion was very high. All six of them stuck to the rules about no mentioning or attacking your opponents, competitors, as we think of it on the Republican side, competitors, and they stuck to that. And it did raise the level of the discussion. We stayed on issues, and we went pretty deep on some of those issues, as we could with 11 straight minutes with a candidate.
We have some examples of some of those discussions last night during that candidate forum, and here's just a sampling of some of the highlights. We'll play that for you.
Nothing wrong with the president actually being a leader of the country, but that's different than saying, and the federal government will administer it, and the federal government will set the rules.
I support a constitutional amendment to ban abortion, if you will, or to stand up for the right to life. That intimately involves the states.
The Patriot Act, if it would have been called the repeal of the Fourth Amendment, it wouldn't have passed.
You've said that if elected, you'd issue an executive order to block the implementation of the federal health care law. What is your authority?
The executive order obviously gives you that authority.
That states should be putting in place right-to-work laws to allow the people of their states to participate in the workforce without having to join a union.
There you go, Ken. That was your whole night last night in 40 seconds. There you go. Ken, I want to ask you, though, about one question that specifically stood out to me, which was about Newt Gingrich.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you said you were looking for was which candidate, or do all of the candidates support smaller government?
Right.
Newt Gingrich left you wanting more. Why?
Well, I followed up with him a couple of times, giving him an opportunity to give me confidence that all of his non-conservative ideas and positions over the years, and there are plenty of them, aren't going to come out of this administration. What's the filter going to be in place? You're going to have Attila the Hun as your chief of staff. You know, how are you going to stop that? And he gave me this generic, basically, trust me answer.
Are you satisfied?
No. Absolutely not.
You're not satisfied that
he's
a small government conservative?
No, I'm not. And I think he is in a position as we close in on Iowa. Yesterday was a month from Iowa. As we get closer, he's in a position to close the deal if he can give conservatives, limited government conservatives, let's define it,
right.
Real confidence that he's not going to be another compassionate conservative, big government conservative.
Did you hear from his staff afterwards that they were displeased with your push?
I heard from his, I'll call them high-level Virginia supporters, pretty darn quick. Oh, you sure were tough on my guy. We were soft on Romney, and I don't think I was soft on Romney. It may have gone a little more smoothly, but my question to Governor Romney about, okay, you're in the debate with President Obama, and he's going to say, hey, we modeled our health care on yours. And he said, oh, you know, he had his prepared answer. But if you look at that answer, there was this much distance between him and the president. And if you're a grassroots Republican, and that's a major issue firing you up, what does that really do for you? I really think that if you look at it in that context, Romney hurt himself with that answer. He didn't help himself.
Ultimately, for you, an Attorney General, does the future of Obamacare depend solely on the Supreme Court ruling that will happen during election season?
Absolutely not, and it can never solely depend on that. We have to trust in the checks and balances system. We could lose that case. I don't think we will, but we could lose that case. And the fight will go on. You bet it will.
And you know, so I just wanted to get you to follow up on your answer, the answer that Rick Perry gave you as well, the executive order, because you, I think, posed to him, what would you do about it? He said, I would sign an executive order squashing Obamacare. And were you satisfied with that answer?
Well, legally it was wrong. That authority does not exist to the extent he was talking about it last night. Having said that, while I think he was substantively incorrect, he backed off a little bit in terms of how far he would go with it. That was good. And I think of all I've seen of Rick Perry in the nationally televised forums and debates, I think last night was his best performance.
I think a lot of people are saying that about his support of the 10th Amendment.
He stuck to it.
Yeah.
He stuck to it. Michelle Bachmann deviated on the medical malpractice question. It was very interesting.
I want to get you to comment on something else interesting that happened last night, which was Newt's position with his appearance with Nancy Pelosi during this climate debate. Let's play this soundbite and we'll come back and have you talk about it. Take a listen.
I was trying to make a case about a conservative environmentalism, which is the reason I'm for an Environmental Solutions Agency, to replace the EPA. It was largely done because, frankly, she became so radioactive that it was impossible for any conservative to be in the same set and not have everybody go, that's crazy.
Now, we should predicate this by saying your question to him was, appearing with Nancy Pelosi, you have said, Mr. Speaker, that it was the dumbest thing you've done. Was that a dumb policy decision or dumb politics? Were you satisfied with his answer?
Well, he didn't answer that question. I mean, let's be clear about that.
What do you read from his answer?
Well, what you just played, and it struck me when he said it was, we're not getting anywhere here. We're not getting anywhere here. What did he really say substantively? I didn't hear really much of anything. And he really sort of mushed up the subject matter that he was sitting there with Nancy Pelosi discussing. You never get in a position where you are arm in arm with Nancy Pelosi on an environmental issue unless you have some level of agreement. And he suggested last night that, well, no, I was with her because I want us all to be seen, Republicans, as good on the environment, but I don't agree with her on anything. I'm sorry, that just doesn't pass the smell
test. Who
test.
on that stage best represents your conservative values?
Well, we got 11 more months to the presidential, but, you know, we're closing in on these primary votes. And I still think, especially with the departure of Herman Cain, who had the only transformational proposal in the entire race, 999, and he didn't even appreciate why. As Peggy Noonan wrote in the Wall Street Journal a month or two ago, the most surprised person about the rise of Herman Cain is Herman Cain. Yeah. And I'm not sure he ever really thought he was seriously going to be in the top tier.
I would agree with you.
But that kind of transformational proposal that guts special interests and offers opportunity and optimism for growth for Americans is still something I'm looking for out of this field. Rick Perry said, I'll do part, flat tax, but we'll leave the rest of it. That's not transformational. And so there's opportunity, even in the next month, I think, for these candidates to flesh out their positions in ways that make them unique and special, and somebody that conservatives in particular could get behind.
Ken had a late night last night, but you'd never know it.
No.
You're on.
Not one bit.
Fired up.
Ken, thanks so much.
Excellent job.
A great discussion last night. Ken Cuccinelli, Virginia Attorney General. Nice to see you this morning.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you all.